No coffee and 45 minutes. That'd be great. Only if there's coffee. Not a little water. No, that'd be good.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing about Fan Day that I'm upset about is that they have to do a lottery for the kids for me to sign. I'd love to be able to do it for everybody. What I'm excited is a chance for our players to interact with the fans, to recognize that everyone talks about what's your why. Everyone has their own personal ones. We want to have a team win, but we want to have a great experience for the fans. So excited to get it done. Yeah, Jeff has a quiet way about him that I like. I think one of the things I've learned is let people be themselves. Just try to make them help them be the best version of themselves. So I want him to lead in a way that he feels comfortable with. And I see him exerting his presence more and more often. I think Jeff's a triple threat. He can run it, he can throw it, and he can beat you with his brain. He's smart. So he's not super talked about outside of Nebraska circles. I think he's going to play really well. The last thing I'll say is I think everyone plays for him. The guys play for him. Like they want to see him be successful. He cares about all the guys on the team and spends a lot of time with all the guys on the team. Yeah, I think it's about getting in the right play when there's a check. It's about audibling to a man beater when you got man coverage. It's about sliding the protections. It's about knowing where to go versus different coverages. It's getting the ball to the right guy. There's this documentary on Netflix right now called Quarterbacks, right? And I think what everyone's probably seeing is it's not really it's not really about who has the best arms. It's about who has the best brain, the best mindset, the best feel for the game, who has the mental strength to overcome the physical beating that you take. So I think Jeff has all those things. I think Jeff's an NFL player if he'll just continue to develop. Yeah, Xavier had to come back. He had to pass 18 credits to be eligible just because of the time away. Not just, he'd missed credits, so he had to, get his degree percentage. At the same time, he had to do he was going to do football too. So really pleased with him. He's a really, really smart young man, highly intelligent, and he cares about people. So I think Xavier's special in that regard. Not only did he pass 18, he passed 21 credits, which is, that's hard to do. And hopefully Xavier sees, what he's capable of. He's certainly capable of a lot football-wise. My job is to have people understand that success isn't talent, success is achievement. Just because you're talented doesn't mean you're successful. Yeah, you take that talent and you achieve something, it means you're successful. And I'm really proud of what Xavier achieved this spring and this summer as well, on and off the field. Yeah, we had a speaker come in last year, and Kevin Eastman. Kevin worked with the Celtics, and when they started talking about their team goals, the first year that they brought, the big three, Kevin Garnett. I'm not a basketball fan, so I'll probably say I don't want to make anyone mad, say the wrong names, but Kevin Garnett, came in and said hey, my goal for this year is to make everyone, appreciate and respect what the Celtic jersey means again. And so, for me, when I think about Nebraska, I just think about that helmet. It's just it's iconic to me. It's all across college football what that means. And, are we being talked about right now? I mean, are people talking about, wow, I'm not talking about within Nebraska, I'm talking about nationally. And so for me, this is about us as a program, from the way we practice to the way we travel to the way we carry ourselves. I told Keith Van this morning, I wanted to be the first guy here this morning. I just want us to do everything better than everyone else. And that pride, that respect that we have for each other and the way that we do things, you've heard me say many times, I don't want our fans coming to the games just because they love Nebraska. I want them coming because they love Nebraska and they know they're going to see a good football team. And so there's a lot on us that we have to do. And so if we're making progress towards that, then people will respect who we are, our players will respect who we are, our opponents will respect who we are, and that's the first step towards championship mindset. Yeah. So when I say patience, I don't mean patient in terms of like the results at all. Like like we are it's fourth and goal every single day in our building. That's the mindset. It's fourth and goal every day. Like, I go away to see my family at the beach, and everyone's like, I know you're on vacation. I'm not on vacation. I'm working from the beach. Like, this is 24/7, 365. Like we're chasing greatness. I mean, we like there's no everyone here sprinting to stay ahead of us. We got to catch them and then get where we want to be. So the urgency is elite. It's just I don't want to skip steps along the way. Does that make sense? I don't want to take shortcuts. I don't want to build something that like, hey, we show everybody a little bit of hope this year, but then the next year we take a step back. So I never want year 2 to be year 1, if that makes sense. So this is year 1. I want us to win every game. I want us, but like I'm not right now. I can't think about the games. I want us. I mean, I expect us to do everything right. I expect guys to show up on Sunday and be on time, and so it's just this mindset of everything matters, everything counts. That's all I mean. So I don't want anyone to take like, hey, Coach Rhule saying, hey, calm down, don't get excited. No, there's no one that's more anxious for this than me. It's just that I know the only way we can win the game is if we're awesome all camp. So that's the mindset, and I want our guys to just have this stable, steady every single day. Because, like, all right, well, we play Minnesota game 1. What if we win? What if we lose? Like, we still play the next week, don't we? Like, so, like, and our guys learned the hard way last year. When you start being like, this is an important game and this isn't, well, Georgia Southern happens. So I don't want us thinking that way. Every single game is an important game. And as I say that to former players, they kind of laugh. They'll be like, oh, Coach Osborne used to say that all the time. We'd roll our eyes. Like, yeah, but that Coach Osborne figured it out before I did. And so I'm just doing the same thing that the people who won at Nebraska did.
When did punctuality become a radical? Because it seems like being on time is hard now.
Yeah, because I think everyone's kind of like on time-ish, you show up at 8:04. It's like, well, I'm here. Like, no, if you have a meeting with me, be here at 8. Like, actually be early, So it's just because I'm willing to act on it, it seems like a bigger deal. I can promise you our players are way more disciplined than most programs. I can promise you that. It's just if you're going to be late to breakfast 3 or 4 times, or you're going to miss breakfast or something, I'm going to take actions. Not because I don't love you, but in fact because I do care greatly about I can't have guys leaving our program and going out in the real world and not functioning. I'll feel like a failure. And so we're gonna treat our building like it's the real world. Like, guys would walk into when I was at the Giants, guys would walk into a meeting early, and Coach Coughlin he wouldn't say a word to me, just the fine, right? And the next thing you know, they have a $2,000 fine, or they miss something, they have a $14,000 fine. I don't want players from Nebraska playing in the NFL and getting fined. I want them knowing to be 5 minutes early. Actually get there 10 minutes early. Put your phone down and talk to people, and watch how the world opens up for you. So.
How did the NFL experience make you a better coach?
Well, obviously, I think the NFL. Well, I think just being around the football and the players, I learned a lot. We're talking about recovery. When you're coaching someone like Christian McCaffrey, like, you learn everything that there is out there. Like, hey, coach, there's this thing here, this thing there. So we're building a lot of things in our building. I think for me, on a personal note, like every job I had taken before that had a happy ending. So you kind of always assume it's going to work out. And for me, I'm probably a lot better now because I'm coming off of some adversity. And then see, like, I learned a lot about leadership by leading in tough times. It's easy to lead when things are going well. It's easy to lead when you're winning every game. When you're about to get fired and everyone's the whole stadium's booing for you to get fired. Like, look around here, guys. And think about if they were going like, fire Sipple, here, how that would feel. And your kids are in the stands. Like, but I did that. And you know what I learned? I'm tough. And my family's tough. And you know what? After that happened, I went home and saw my daughters. I played with them. I hung out. I didn't take it home. And I learned a lot about, hey, sometimes as a leader, you have to be the one out front taking the bullets so that people behind you can move forward. So keeping that team together through that adversity was something that I'm not proud of. And so as I come to Nebraska now, like, I know if I do something, there's going to be a lot of different opinions about it. And you know what? I respect everyone, but I'm going to do what I think is right, because I've seen what happens when everyone has an opinion. I've got to do what I think is right and be tough enough to just stand with it. Like, if I think, you know what, guys, we're going to wear this color cleats, we're going to wear this color cleats. Hey, guys, we're going to do that. Like, someone's going to be upset maybe, but I owe it to the University of Nebraska to go all in. I can't go half in and gauge the temperature of everything. I got to go all in. And so I maybe wouldn't have been able to do that if I had not gone through what I just went through.
So you've already been in 2 programs where nobody in the room when you arrived knew how to win, the Temple and the Baylor. Now you're in the same situation. How do you take a group of players that aren't used to winning and get that turned around?
Yeah, and to me it's unique in Nebraska because there's been all these games that are so close. Like, literally, how ESPN has like that predictor, like you're 90. I bet you most games in the fourth quarter, Nebraska wasn't favored to win, and so to me it's all these things. Like, I talk a lot about being on time. I talk a lot about well, you know what, like. If I can't count on you to show up to things in the summer, I don't know that I can count on you to be inside leverage when you're supposed to be inside leverage. Like, because it's these little things that cause winning and losing. So it's the strength program. It's the nutrition program. It's our guys getting bigger and stronger because you know what? The stronger, more physical team usually wins in the fourth quarter. They wear the other team out instead of getting worn out. So it's our approach to the offseason. It's our approach to discipline, which to me is just doing what you say you're going to do. And it's also confidence. Like, I want our guys to be confident that we're going to win, even when it looks like maybe like the odds are against us. And so putting them in those situations in practice, inoculating them against that stress, because we have a bunch of good players. They'll play great at practice. My job is to get them to play great in the games the way they do at practice. And a lot of that is just helping them overcome stress, overcoming the fear of failure. So we'll do everything from we'll read a book during preseason camp that talks about it to guys do mindfulness, guys do yoga. We yell and scream at practice so they learn to just tune things out. There's a reason for everything that we do, and hopefully it ends up working sooner rather than later.
I promise I'll be easy questions. You were a walk-on in college.
Sir?
What does that say? Obviously, tradition in college football is not all the stars come in. How does that help you evaluate talent, knowing that you were a walk-on one time, to evaluate these kids to make them better?
Yeah, I think when you're a walk-on, you're I always kind of laugh, like, you show up at 5:30 in the morning to get yelled at by someone like me at practice and do hard things, and you're paying to do it. It's beautiful. And so that those guys love the game. The ones that we have, they love Nebraska. I loved Penn State. And they want to be there for all the right reasons. So as much as we talk about all the things that are wrong in college football, I can point out a lot of things that are right. And so I think that's really important. And then at the same time, I look at, one of the best players in football today is Hassan Reddick. He was a walk-on for me at Temple. I learned pretty early on, like, who they are at 18. It's not necessarily who they are at 22 or who they are at 27. So we try to give everyone a chance. And by a chance, I mean reps and opportunities and chances to show what they can do. So, and I think for me, like, I love the game because I love the game. And I probably always have a little bit of chip on my shoulder because I knew at Penn State I was going to get a chance. I just knew I wasn't going to get as many chances as everybody else. So I didn't have an opportunity to like let things slide. I had to be grateful for my chances and make the most of them, and that's kind of how I feel now coming to Nebraska. Like, I'm getting a chance to do this. I gotta make the most of it.
Yeah, kind of going back to your NFL experience, did anything draw you back to college, specifically Nebraska, or did it just kind of?
Yeah, I think that I was. We're all meant to do something. We all have a purpose for our lives. I was meant to work with this age group. When I did get fired, it was almost like I was getting eulogized the next day. Like, all my former players were texting me and reaching out to me, and hey, coach, hey, you meant this to me. Hey, coach, you helped me do this, and there's just for me and my purpose, working with young people. I just enjoy the college game. I enjoy recruiting. I enjoy getting to know the parents. I enjoy watching guys graduate. I enjoy watching guys get jobs, have kids. I'm now starting to get to the point where guys I coach, their kids are starting to come up. It's scary but true. And so my wife and kids, like, they missed college. Like, in college, they knew everyone. Like, they knew the families. They on the away games, they sit in the stands, like, with the and all of a sudden now they're in the NFL and they don't know any of the players. They certainly don't know their families. So, and part of my NFL experience was also COVID, so that was kind of off too. But I just like being around young people in these formative years and watch them become things that maybe they didn't know they were going to be.
It seems like, what is it? Like, not everybody says that.
Yeah, I like recruiting. Well, first of all, if you like to compete, don't you like? I like to compete in recruiting. So, to me, like, when you recruit, you have a chance to compete at everything you do. And I like to recruit. I really like to evaluate first. Let me say that. Sometimes people will tell me that there's a lot of talk about, they took this guy who's unrecruited, that guy who's unrecruited. Why should what someone else is doing, their opinion of a player, affect my opinion? That means I'm weak. So, like, I like to evaluate. We had 3,000 kids, I think, come through our camps. I took 1,000 pictures with youth campers 2 days in a row. Like, I like people, first of all, but I like evaluating. I like watching people. I like looking at a kid at 15, 16, 17 and being like, that kid's going to be this when he's 22. So you're not always right, but I like the projection. I like all that. I like watching tape. But then I also like relationships and families. I like having people come in. And I just have learned, like, oh, bro. Let's not say anything. No one tweet it. I don't need anyone coming to me with, why'd you get coffee? But also, like, what I've learned is I'm really not recruiting anyone to come to Nebraska. I'm telling each person who we are, what we do, why we do it. And then for each guy, I'm saying, here's our vision for you, and here's our plan to get you there. And if it works for them, great. And if it doesn't, we wish them the best. And, like, I'm not a slick talker. I'm not going to sit there and be like, you need to come here because of this. You need to come here because of that. Like, I put that, like, New York City side of me to the side, and I have an 18-year-old son. All I pray for is that my son ends up in the right place with the right people. If he ends up in the wrong place, I don't know. So I don't want kids coming to Nebraska that it's the wrong place. I want them coming for the right reasons. So I love recruiting, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. I'm not the rankings and the numbers and all that. Like, we had kids come to our camp that ran 4.38, 4.42, broad jump 10.5, and had pro agilities. I don't care who else offered them. Like, if I can't coach a guy that runs that fast and jumps that high, then I can't coach. So that's kind of the fun part to me also, is finding the guys that are out there. And I'm really happy with our camps, having that many guys. At first, the first camp was only like 150, 160, and then it just kind of slowly grew. And I'm hoping we can get to 4,000 or 5,000 kids next year, because I want people all across the state of Nebraska and anywhere to come knowing they're going to have a great experience.
It seems like the consensus outside was that June was successful for you. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, well, June was hard, first of all. I thought I was going to have a couple people quit on the staff. There was one Friday we had an official visit, a morning practice, an afternoon practice, and I think most schools around the country, what they're doing is they're letting the GAs coach the camp, and they're doing the official visit. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, we coached the camp, we did the official visit. It was really hard, but on that weekend, on Sunday, it was so good for me and the staff to be like, did it work? Like, just did it work? Well, we offered a bunch of kids that came to the camp that we didn't really know a ton about, or that we liked but we weren't sure. And then we had a bunch of guys commit. And so a lot of parents, and I think a lot of kids nowadays, they're recognizing, like, if these coaches work this hard at camp or this hard at official visit, how are they going to work on my academics, my health, my mental health? Like, they're probably going to be pretty intentional about that. So I think June was a big success, not just for this year but for the future. Now, recruiting, like, they're committed. People are going to come after them. They're going to want them to come. But you know what? We're going to go after guys too. So, I mean, there's still a lot of recruiting left to be done. Yeah, and I won't say the book just because it'll get out in 1 minute. But I'll tell the book. So Donnie Rhule is going to do he'll do a team-wide book. He did it last year with the O-line, but he'll do a team-wide, like a book club. Like, we'll do it like, let's say 15 minutes a day, 3 days a week for 2 weeks. The book's called Twin Thieves. It's a great book. Donnie gave it to me early on. It's kind of like what they call an allegory. Like, it's kind of like about. I don't know if allegory is the right term. If it is, forgive me. But it's basically about a coach working with a fictional team and helping the guys learn how to overcome doubt, fear of failure. So Donnie and I read all the same books. Like, people always ask, why did you hire him? When I walked in his office and I saw the books he had, I was like, man, me and this guy are definitely alike, because I only read a certain type of book for the most part, and we had all the same base one. So, and it's cool for me. Like, he's going to do that part of it. Dr. Haskell's going to do all the mindfulness and meditation. It's not just me in front of the team. It's Garrett and Terrence are going to do, the quarterback show. They're going to pull out clips and show guys. So all of our coaches have a chance now to get in front of the team at some point.
Is it possible that Donovan planted those books to get a job?
No. He if you know him, he's a psychopath in terms of that stuff. He reads the same things.
With recruiting, how do you think the TV deal being on NBC, CBS, Fox will impact Nebraska's recruiting?
It's phenomenal. To think that we'll be on Fox national TV the first 2 games of the year. I was in New Jersey the last couple of weeks, right? Like, people see me, they'll say, Coach, Nebraska, day after Thanksgiving. These iconic TV memories for people all across the country. To think that now that people are going to turn on NBC, they're going to turn on CBS, they're going to turn on Fox and see us playing on national TV. They're going to see the environment and I think another thing is the presentation. The game presentation is going to be elite. Like, you watch a game on NBC, like, they're going to show Nebraska. One of the biggest things for us is, when you go outside the state, people don't really know what's in Lincoln. They don't know what's in Nebraska. They don't know what's at Memorial. I didn't know. I had to come out and see it. And so I know the teams that are at NBC, CBS, and Fox, they're going to present that in a way that helps us in recruiting at a high level.
Coach, you mentioned on the stage just now about those iconic Colorado, Nebraska games growing up, and just how much of a must-see for those. Just curious, now in this role, are you appreciating that rivalry even more? And also, are you from afar? Have you taken a look at kind of what Coach Sanders has going on, and just any interactions with him over time?
Yeah, I've never met Coach Sanders. I recruited a young man from Trinity Catholic, KOLN Jones, to Baylor. That was his high school. But on the day that I went in, Coach wasn't in, so I dealt with his assistant head coach and just thanked them for letting us recruit him. I think Nebraska, Colorado is good for football. I think as many of the old Big 8 games as we could play, the better. I think it's great when everyone could drive to all the games and see the games. What I don't want just football like in this part of the country and this part of the country. I want it east to west, north to south, because I think it's good for the game in the long run. So, in terms of what Colorado's doing, man, I'm so busy with myself. I don't know. My son's on social media, so he'll show me something every now and then. But I think it's awesome. Coach Sanders is making Colorado highly relevant, and we're trying to do the same thing.
Iowa-Nebraska rivalry. I'm sure you're familiar. They don't like each other very much. What do you think about that? Just being preserved, and you guys are going to play each other once a year for a long time. Yeah, it's unique for me because when I was in the Big Ten at Penn State, Nebraska wasn't, and so we played Iowa. We had a chance. I thought we were going to go to the national championship in. I think it was 95 into 96 or 96. I can't remember the year. And Tim Dwight took a punt return back for a touchdown against us, and it kind of ruined the year for us. Ruined going to the national championship. We still went like 10-2, I think, but going to the national championship game. So the Iowa-Nebraska rivalry is kind of new to me, right? Like in terms of seeing it. Obviously, that game this year was huge, but I think having a regional rival, I think having a game that everyone can drive to, I think it's good. I think it's really good. A lot of respect for Coach Ferentz. He's done it his way, the right way, for a really long time. It's awesome. So, I'm excited about the schedule moving forward. I really don't care who we play in terms of in conference. Out of conference, I got a lot of opinions on things like that, but in conference, we got to play them all. So I do know this. Our players didn't come here to play bad teams. They came to Nebraska to play against the best. So, Iowa's a great team, and it'll be an honor to play them.
So, what are the opinions out of conference?
Sorry.
So, what is the opinion?
Oh, no, that's my late night text messages to Trev. I'll keep those ones quiet.
Matt, what has your communication been with Trev about just the moving to the new facility and just you're starting practice this weekend? How will that go? How will that process happen as far as when you guys will make that move?
Yeah, we have a weekly. Susan and I have a weekly Zoom call with the people over there. And as much as I want to get in, I also want it to be done right. I don't want to get in and then have things around us. So Trev, as you guys know, Trev's visionary. He's awesome. He handles all the details of those things, but they keep us abreast. I think at some point in training camp we'll probably move the players in. We were hoping before, but I walk out in the field the other day and I see 2 beautiful grass fields and new turf fields being laid, and I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you have to just be a little bit patient to wait for things to be done and done right. The coaches, I think we'll probably stay over in our offices in meeting rooms for right now, and maybe sometime in this training camp or fall we'll move in. But the biggest thing to me is I want the players to be able to move into the locker room, training room, recovery area, because the recovery area is going to be phenomenal as soon as possible. So probably at some point during camp.
Do you have a vision for how you want to run the ball without ever having to obviously run it? How do you want to run the ball just with the running game? Do you have a number that you want to get to, or a kind of?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I think that when you look at how you run the ball, take the quarterback out of it, to your point. I have a couple core philosophies. Like, always look at what your O-line does well, right? Now we're gonna play some 3-4 fronts. We're gonna run different things against the 3-4 fronts than we will against the 4-down fronts. I always believe that a yard outside the tackles and outside play is equal to 2 yards inside. Like inside the tackles, it's kind of like a body blow. It's just it's right up the middles. So we'll be stubborn to a fault, but I also know that we're going to have to be able to throw it. We're going to have to be able to be explosive. We're going to have to run the quarterback. So, I want to be diverse in what we do. We're going to run inside zone, outside zone, power, counter. We're not going to just live off of one thing. But I just want to make sure that we have an interior run game as well, right? So if one week I have to spread you out to be able to run the ball inside, I will. If we have to get in tight to condense you, then we will. But I just want people to, when they play us, to line up and have several different things. So there's 2 different philosophies. Like we'll play some teams and they'll say we run these 2 runs all the time. We're methodical with them. we're going to try to be a little more diverse. We're going to run a bunch of plays. The quarterback run game to me doesn't really count as rushing yardage. It's an outlier. It's an potentially explosive play. I don't want to run the quarterbacks to get 3 or 4 yards. I want to run the quarterbacks in a couple different ways. I want to run them. I want to run them when we're in the red zone. I want to run them on third down. So when the result is either continuing a drive or scoring, I want to run the quarterback when he's part of a zone read type play where we're hoping to give it, but if he pulls it, it's a big play. And then I think a lot of that what Jeff will do is he's going to drop back to throw it, and then he's going to put the ball down and run. And so those count as free yardage as well. So we don't want to just go out there and just be running quarterback power and getting 4 yards. But if that happens, it happens. We want to be thoughtful with the ways that we use him.
What's stubbornness going to get you about the fourth quarter?
Yeah, we're never going to say like, hey, start fast, guys. Let's get off to a big lead. That's not us. Like, we hope we do. Like, we're just going to go out there and play, and then try to wear teams out in the fourth quarter. So, again, that doesn't. There might be games where we come out and we throw it the first 10 plays of the game because that's what we think we need to do that game to loosen something. I mean, every game's a little bit different, but the core philosophy is we've got to stop the run and run the ball. We've got to protect our quarterback and attack their quarterback up front. So, the stubbornness just means at the end of the day, there's going to be some games, Sam, where you go out there to run the ball, and it's getting 3 yards, 4 yards. And I've been on those staffs where the coordinator's like, man, we can't run it today. And the O-line coach wants to fight him. Wow, we can run it. Like, we're going to keep running it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean we're not going to throw it. We're going to take 70% layup throws. We're going to push the ball down the field, but we're going to run the football and believe that the cumulative effect affects us. The last thing I'll say is there's times at Temple where we're playing Penn State, Notre Dame. I'm like, bro, we can't run ISO against Notre Dame. Like, we tried it. We popped one for about 30 yards. They got so mad that, so then we had to spread them out. We run zone read. That wasn't really who we were, but we're going to find a way to run the ball, somehow.
What makes Jeff Sims a good spokesman for your program and like this?
My philosophy, I think the guys will tell you, like, I let everyone on our team speak. I'm not one of those guys who's like, hey, these 4 guys. Every player that plays for me has to learn how to talk to the media. I just thought these 3 guys, but Jeff's the quarterback, right? So after every game, media's probably going to talk to me. They're probably going to talk to Jeff. So to not bring him here would be disingenuous. And then I thought, like, Ethan Piper to me, like, he's truly our brand. Like, he's a Nebraska Cornhusker through and through. And then Luke, he's just prolific. He's been a great player, and he's a local guy. It's like a great story. So, but I could have brought any other guy. I could have brought Ty Robinson. I could have brought so many other guys. But I just thought these 3 guys were really good. And I think Jeff, he's new. He's never once said, well, this is how I did it before. Like, he's just embraced our culture and our way of doing things. And that's the hardest part in year one is that all the guys, everything's new to them. The only person who knows what I'm going to do is Fleeks because he played for me at Baylor. The rest of them are all kind of like, what's next? And Jeff's embraced it all as he's gone.
Coach, Reimer could end up number 2 all time at Nebraska on the tackle.
Oh, you know why I know that? Because last Sunday I said, you could end up number 3. And he goes, no, number 2. I was like, stop me.
So what's that look like on film to you? What did it look like when you first saw him?
What?
Reimer.
Did him play?
Yeah.
I think, so I like to do 2 things. I like to watch both the All-22 videotape. I also like to watch a lot of TV copies to feel the game. And he's made a lot of big plays and a lot of big moments, right? You can tell the defense was one that, like, if the offense lined up like this, there was shift, and he was so great at getting guys lined up. A lot of detail, a lot of really good football. And so, but I think the biggest thing for me is as you see him on tape, he can go sideline to sideline, he can get off blocks, he can tackle, he's competitive. But he also has a penchant for making a big play, a key interception, a key takeaway at the right time.
What is the most important thing? I know there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of things are important to you. But what is the most important thing for y'all to accomplish between now and Minnesota?
Well, my goal is that the guys that I say, hey, we're playing with these guys against Minnesota, I hope that I'm playing with the same guys 3 or 4 weeks later. Sometimes, when you're a new coach, you go in the season like, hey, this is going to be the guys, and after 3 or 4 games, you're like, oh, I better change, and you go with these guys. I'm hoping we do a really good job of evaluating. And so part of that is giving guys a lot of opportunities. Like, we'll have 2, 3, 4 drills going at all times. We'll scrimmage, we'll play, we'll see. They've cut the rules way back to you can only be in 8 pads before the first game now in college football. Like, that's like I read that, I thought it was a typo. I couldn't believe it. Like 8 times, like to get ready for a game, but the rules are the rules. I'm going to live with them. So, but I have to find ways to just constantly see like who can I count on, who's competitive, because I think finding the right guys in the right roles a lot of guys can be really successful if they're just in the right roles. So getting them in the right roles is hard. You don't want to do it too soon because you jump the gun, and you don't want to do it too late because you play a game and you have the wrong guys playing.
When you talk about Nebraska being feared, I mean, how do you convey that message to 18 to 22-year-olds that simply aren't old enough to remember those 90s, 70s, or is it that they do know because a lot of these kids are from Nebraska?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of guys from Nebraska. There's a lot of guys a lot of them have heard a lot about that over the last couple of years. I think for me, it's this teaching concept of like, listen, you're the 2023 Nebraska Cornhusker football team. And there's this continuum, and there's a lot of people who came before you, and you have to learn from their lessons. You have to learn from everything that they've done, and they've allowed you to be here in this moment. And you have this beautiful moment to have your time to then affect all the people that are going to come after you. So we talk a lot about those who came before us. We also talk about those who come after us and what our legacy is going to be. And so understanding that continuum, I think, is really important. Do you want future teams to be feared? And so they can know what the 90s were. They can know what the early 2000s were. They can know about all those years, but really the focus, they didn't know that, but also then they have to go focus on right now. And so if we focus on right now and we're patient with it, hopefully we can be feared again someday.
You mentioned Frank, so I know you talked a lot about Coach Osborne, but is there anything from his career that he's taken out from Nebraska and what he did after? Selfishly,
Yeah. It's funny. I talked to Coach Solich this spring. One of the things I talked about was how much respect I had for, you're talking about a guy that all the success he had as both a position coach, and coordinator and then head coach running one offense, right? And then if you remember, he was at Ohio. He ran that same offense, and then he morphed in 2005 maybe. And no, I'm sorry, 2005 into 2006, and all of a sudden now they were spread type concepts, and there was no more fullback, and they were in 11 and 12 personnel. So he changed, and he had the same success. And I talked to Coach. He said, we changed the personnel, but we kept the same core concepts and the same core game plan. So I think when you see coaches that can adjust over time, that's the mark of a true coach. Like anybody can say, this is my system, find me the players to do it. My job and our job is to say, here's the players we have, what's the best system for them? As you recruit, you're recruiting to a system, but we have to be flexible. So, I was at Temple, we were 4 down. I was at Baylor, we were 4 down for a couple years, then we went to 3 down, and we won the league. Then I went to Carolina. The first year we were terrible on defense. We were like a 4-3. Then we went to like a 5-1 hybrid, and we were number 2 in defense. So it's not about, I like to do this. It's about coming to Nebraska, what will win in Nebraska, what will win in the elements in Nebraska, and then always evolving to take advantage of the players that I have. I think they're confident and ready to go, And again, my message to them is like if you spend all your time trying to prove other people wrong, you're gonna be miserable. Just prove yourself right. If you think you're a good player, go play like a good player, man. And we made some real strides in the weight room with those guys. I see them bending at a high level, taking care of. Donnie does a great job with the mentality. I was over there earlier with Piper. I said, okay, you're holding me in one hand and Donnie in the other hand. You have to let go of one of us to peril. He's like, Coach, I'm sorry. He's letting go of me. So, that's the unity they built over there. So, it's going to be a work in progress. We have to do a good job as coaches, though, of calling plays and doing things that they do well, right? I worked for Kevin Gilbride at the Giants. I was assistant O-line coach. And, he was going to protect the O-line. He knew that Eli couldn't play well if the O-line didn't play well. And how do I help the O-line play well? I'm going to protect him. I'm going to chip this guy. I'm going to run this play that we run well. So my job is to help our coaches figure out what we do well and then go do those things and let our guys play. I've done it a couple times. I went back as an assistant coach. I went back as the head coach at Temple twice. Lost the last game. We got a terrible call, lost the game. But I can't get fined for that, right? Because that was American, right? So, played them at home, beat them at home for the first time in 70. Beat them for the first time in 74 years, which was a big moment for Temple University. So, I love James Franklin. Grateful for what he's done for my university, my alma mater. Came in at a hard time and has brought them to excellence. Pat Kraft, their AD, is one of my best friends. Great AD, was my AD at Temple. So, it'll be fun to go there. The biggest thing I'll know is, hey guys, get ready for the crowd noise because it's going to be really loud, right? It's just it's a really loud, raucous environment.
What kind of relationship have you maintained with your alma mater, the State College area in general? Do you get back much?
Yeah, we used to go back a bunch. My grandmother unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and that was last time. My aunt still lives there. Lots of family still there, but we get back. I went back last year. The College of Liberal Arts honored me my wife was so mad because she had better grades than me, but they offered me distinguished alumnus. So I went back, and it was awesome to see. I got to get back and see people there. So there's a lot of people there that I love, family, friends. Love the Paterno family. So I'm happy for Pat, happy for James, and so just when I can, I try to get back. Because Pat's gonna fight, scratch, and claw to help his coaches be successful. He cares about the student athletes. He's not afraid of anything. He's gonna go fight for what he wants, and he's a really good person.
Matt, are there other guys in this league? You mentioned Franklin. Do you know him personally, or are there other guys in this league on the coaching level that you have previous connections with or bonds with?
Yeah, I was really close. I am really close with Pat Fitzgerald. Obviously he's no longer there, but the day I got fired in Carolina, Pat was one of the first guys that reached out to me. We were always on Under Armour trips together, so my wife and his wife and all of us got along. I would let my son go play for him anytime. I respect Pat, and I don't know what that situation is. I'm not commenting on that situation, but I trust him. I've known PJ a long time. We came into head coaching together at Minnesota, and over the years, his wife and my wife, we've all gotten to know each other. I worked with Ryan Day at Temple. We were both on the staff together. Mike Loxley was in my cousin's wedding when I was like 14, 15 years old. So I think he was slipping me beers at the wedding. So I've known him a long time. I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else. Greg Schiano was the DB coach at Penn State when I was a player there as a freshman. So a lot of guys I have some, small relation with, a lot of really good guys. The one thing about this league I thought was interesting was I got there, we had, they have a monthly Zoom that you do with all the coaches, and everybody gets on it, to keep you up to date with issues. I think AJ Eds, the assistant commissioner, does a great job. But there's like a coaches group chat. I'd never been a part of that before. So guys are working together to help solve and fix issues in college football.
Does that help you? I mean, not that it's going to help you strategically, but does it help you feel at home in a situation like this where you're representing Nebraska on this stage?
Yeah. I think it's good to see them when we go to we went to the Big Ten meetings. I don't know anybody. It's good to see people I know, but I know they're trying to tear my throat out. They want to beat me bad too. So, but I like those guys. I respect those guys. Coming here, to me, it's all about first the players, right? I want our guys to have a great experience. We went to dinner last night, hung out last night. And I come here confident, man. I'm confident, about our team and the way we're headed and the direction we're heading. I don't have a timetable, but I feel confident that, from what I've seen so far, I know I made the right decision in coming to Nebraska.
Trev said that one of the things he talked to you about when you guys were getting to know each other is maybe you don't understand, until you experience what wearing that, is you don't understand how people around Nebraska feel about it. How much have you learned about that in 8 months?
Yeah, I think I'd say it's twofold. As I've gone across the state or I've listened to people speak, you recognize pretty quickly how much Nebraska means to not just people or fans, but to families, right? Ronnie Green came and talked to the athletic department as he was, on his last few days, and Jane spoke, and she was talking about these moments with her family, all of them come together to watch Husker games. I almost got a little emotional, my job's to make sure that the next generation, the generation, however long I'm here and I'm alive, that we're giving them those great moments and those great memories and those great relations. But there's a real, it's an honor to serve the state. Not very often you're not just, a lot of times you're serving a university and the fan base. Here you're serving an entire state as well. And I think that's a responsibility I take very seriously. In terms of the other stuff, Trev's you're not going to, you need to prepare, even at Temple it was like that a lot, right? Baylor was certainly like that. And go watch my first opening media statement at Baylor. I got up there and talked about scandals and I didn't talk about football. I was talking about, what we were going through was amazing. So I was always under the microscope. Carolina, obviously, both good and bad. I was under the microscope. The thing is that, I did a speaking engagement a couple weeks ago. I went up and spoke in Takema, and there was a 98-year-old woman that waited in line to talk to me. You know how humbling that is? I don't take myself very seriously at all. I'm this woman, I should be walking over to her and getting her lunch and being ma'am. But she waited, and she took out her flip phone, and we took a picture together, and it was awesome. And I'm man, you have a real responsibility to do things the right way. And so I don't mind people want to stop and say hi to me. Kids want to get a picture. Great. Let's do it, man.
How do they coach Pennsylvania
Yeah, when I looked at Nebraska, for all those years of them going to South Jersey, maybe even to Pennsylvania a little bit, and have obviously so many relationships there, that, sometimes there's those kids that, they're there and they fit us. We went and got Vincent Carroll Jackson this year from Harrisburg. When I was a position coach at Temple, I was recruiting Harrisburg for year after year after year, so a lot of connections there. We went into Philly. We took Ramir Stewart from Imhotep. I've been to Imhotep more times than I can count, and I love the school. And then I went over to Palmyra in South Jersey and took Quentin Ives. So I think not just myself, but a lot of our guys on our staff are from Pennsylvania. They're from Jersey. We have a lot of connections there. There's a lot of players there, and there's a lot of really good players there. And so if they're interested in going far away, it's a good fit for us.
Coach, obviously you're very much
I'm nervous as could be when I'm in front of a microphone. Let me make that very clear. The whole time I'm like, don't say the wrong thing, don't say a cuss word, don't say trust me.
I was going to say, and you don't even go with the straight speech. You went straight for questions today, and you say you're nervous, but have you always been good in front of the mic? Have you always been an active public speaker? Is there something you made a point to work at?
I don't know that I work at it. I mean, I don't think I'd say I worked at it per se. Like, my dad was a preacher, right? My dad was a minister, so I listened to my dad. He did more of his work as a youth minister, but I would listen to my dad. My dad married Julie and I, so I mean that's way more pressure than this. So, but I just think when I get up, I always say to myself, hey, what are the 2 or 3 things you're trying to get across? I maybe rehearse it in my head, and then I say, hey, what? And then I try to speak from the heart, right? I'd much rather hear someone speak from the heart, even if I disagree with them, than hear someone give me something scripted. So, I don't have a PR firm that says, hey, here's your key points. Like, I say to myself, what do you want to say? And I say it, and if it resonates, great. And if it doesn't, then I'm apologetic.
Yeah, what's it been like trying to wrap your head around NIL? And then when you say college football, is cheating more prevalent than it was before?
I don't know about cheating more prevalent. I mean, the cool thing about being the head coach at Temple was all the big recruits there would always, they weren't coming to Temple, but they would always kind of come talk to us. And so I saw everything that was happening. I mean, I've known everything that's been happening for a lot of years. And it's not everybody. It's a couple of places, but it's pretty prevalent. It's pretty, it's funny. If you look at I'm very careful how far I go here, but if you look at the Tennessee case, you look at the numbers that, Coach Pruitt got, hey, 2,500 here, 6,000 there. That's nothing in the NIL era now. So it's been a jump. When I was coming back to college football, I was nervous about how am I going to handle NIL. But as I talk to people that are in those spaces in college football, they were all trying to figure it out. So I was like, well, I guess I'll try to figure it out myself. So, no matter what rules we have, there's always going to be someone that's trying to find an edge and is going to break the rule. To me, college football spent a lot of time focusing on things maybe that didn't matter, like whether a bagel was a meal or not, and we should have been focusing on things like this. So maybe now we will. I'm kind of at the point where if I think something, I'm going to say it. I'm not complaining about NIL at all. I never have. I'm not complaining about the portal. I never have. I just don't like tampering and poaching kids from other teams' rosters. It's not in the kid's best interest. If a kid wants to leave, he should leave. But it's just not inducing people to leave and come be your backup. It's not a good way to do things, and we certainly won't be involved in that.
We have time for 2 more, guys.
How important is it to endorse NIL collective for Nebraska to have a successful NIL?
I don't know that. Yeah, Trev does all those things. Like, the good thing about having a great AD is he handles all that. I'm very grateful to 1890. They've been an amazing job for us. The Pete family, been awesome. Matt Davison's been awesome, doing a great job for our student athletes, helping them get opportunities. But endorsing this, all that, I got to worry about picking up third downs and picking up first downs.
You had a few key guys rehabbing in the spring. Are those guys all going to be ready to go Monday? Or
In terms of
Prohaska?
Yeah, Prohaska will be there.
What's Buford's situation, I guess?
Yeah, Buford won't be ready to go to start training camp. We're going to be really smart with him. Take some time. We hope that he'll be back, but we're going to be really methodical in the way that he goes.
What about Gilbert?
Nothing yet. Yeah, nothing yet. Yeah, it's an ongoing process.
We practice.
Oh yeah, yep.
He's kind of waiting.
Yeah, I mean, when we took we said, listen, we're here to help you. This is a long-term play for you. If you're eligible, great. If you're not eligible, then we'll help you, play another year. Then if you want to play next year, great. If he goes to the NFL, great. Just want to help the kid. I mean, I'll say this, he should be able to play. In my opinion, Eric Gilbert should be able to play, but it's not my decision. I hope he can play, but if he can't play, we're going to stand by him. I mean, if you just take that approach with a lot of guys, good things will happen. No, Jamie's handling it. It's kind of going back and forth. It's not like it's not happening. Like things are going, they're constantly working with each other. So when it all comes to fruition, I don't know. But again, I do believe he should be allowed to play, and I'm hopeful he can play.
All good?
That was 45 minutes? Was that the best 45 minutes of your guys' day? That was fun. I actually was. I can't take it. I'm not taking it anywhere. I don't get in trouble.
Yep. When you said that was 45 minutes, my